Former Australia Chinaman bowler Brad Hogg is extremely impressed with the manner in which the Indian cricket team has made a comeback after an indifferent Australian summer, making them firm contenders for the ICC Cricket World Cup 2015 title.
Which team has the best spin attack in this World Cup?
Oh, definitely India. You can't go past Jadeja and Ashwin. I think they're the two world-class spinners going around at the present moment. And if you look at the Australian side, they're not playing Doherty, so they picked a frontline spinner, but they're not going down that path just because of the strength of the Australian bowlers, and also Vittori. So they're the three best teams going around. Actually, I'm going to put South Africa in there, their leg spinner there. Tahir, yeah, I really rate Tahir. I think he's a fantastic bowler.
The Chinaman bowler feels that India have the best spin attack in the tournament, although he had words of praise for South Africa's Imran Tahir.
Did you believe that with the changed fielding rules and four fielders outside the circle, did you expect Ashwin and Jadeja to bowl the way they have bowled on this big Australian grounds?
Look, it's very difficult to bowl with only four players allowed out, especially when the batsmen are coming after you, and I think that's why we're seeing such high scores. So you've got to be very strong with your plans. You've got to back yourself, and if you have deep point up, it really creates the opportunity for batsmen to play that reverse sweep, and that's a shot that's come into the game, which makes it a lot more difficult for bowlers to contend with. So I think only having the four out is great, but it's harder on the spinners than probably any of the other bowlers.
Well, where a captain should bowl still as the spinners, middle overs or the opening overs, where is the best slot?
Oh, it depends who you're bowling against too. You know, there's certain teams where you line up a couple of batsmen that aren't so good against spin, so you'd want to get your spinners operating when those particular batsmen come out. So if that's in a power play, there's no reason why not to bowl your spinner in a power play. If you look at 2020, we're seeing spinners opening up in those first 6 overs and doing extremely well. And it's not all about pace. Spinners can go out there and do a job, no matter what the scenario is out in the middle, whether it's in the power play or when you can have no fielding restrictions.
If you don't have enough revolutions on the ball, well, batsmen can easily play through the line. So you just got to work out where the batsman wants to hit and counteract that by putting the ball in the right place. If you've got your plans in place and the fielder's in the right spot, it's still a simple game.
Okay. Brad?
One thing I'm looking forward to is over in India, they play you well, and with those bats you've really got to be on your game. So again, that's the great thing about playing the IPL. You might, especially for a spinner, your skills are tested against the best, and that's what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
The pink balls in Test cricket, do you think that could change the course of game of bowling with pink balls?
Pink balls?
Yeah, in Test cricket, which will be coming up in November.
Look, it's a very difficult question because you as a traditionalist you still want the red ball, but as you're trying to promote the game to the youngsters around the world and also for sponsorship, because sponsorship's a big thing. The prime time for TV is at night, so we're going to have to look for a ball, and I think the pink ball's okay. But
Have you played with it any time?
I've played with the pink ball, I've played with the yellow ball. The yellow ball was alright when it was new. I remember facing Greg Rowell out here when we tried it on a day-night game, and when that period of time when the sun's just going down and the lights are trying to take effect, it wasn't a pretty sight. I was a little bit worried that I was going to be put in hospital. So yeah. It was quite difficult with that yellow ball, but look, technology these days, we shouldn't take long to find one that suits. So, and I think with that pink ball, Chris Rogers couldn't bat, the Australian opener, because he's colourblind and he found it hard to pick up. So, yeah.
Brad, what's the secret to longevity, and is it easier to play T20s at a later age?
It's just staying fit. You just got to stay fit. And fit and healthy. I've got to say the thing that has dropped off is probably the batting, just picking the ball up. But at the end of the day, I'm not getting picked for my batting anymore. It's more my bowling, but it's still enjoyable to go out there and have a hit. but it's still enjoying the game as well and training hard. I still train as hard as I did when I first started. So it's just the enjoyment factor.
Does T20 reduce your workload a little bit compared to ODIs or Tests?
Does it? My workload drop? No, it doesn't.
No?
No. Because you go out there, you want to make sure everything's right. You're only bowling 4 overs out in the middle, but you just it's like anything you do in life. If you're a perfectionist, you want to get the best out of your ability. You train right to the very end.
Yeah, Brad. Just final one question. Nobody wants to be a bowler in India. Everybody wants to be a batsman. I think that's the result of too much one day in 2020 cricket. That's what most of the coaches do tell me, at least off the record. You still think that all these changes are good for the cricket, for the game?
Yeah, look, it's disappointing because I think bowling is a great aspect of the game, and to me, batting's great. I always wanted to be a batter, and I also wanted to bowl because when you're out there, you want to be in the action. And I think when you've got the ball in hand, you can also, if you get a wicket, you can celebrate. You can really show your own personality to the world. And I think if you look at all the personalities that have. The big personalities that have come through in the game, like your Ian Bothams, your Merv Hughes. I think the only batsman that I can remember is Derek Randall, that had the extra charisma and the character that everyone's just waiting to see. Oh, what's going to happen now? Even Tony Gregg, he was good. So I think that's important, is to have those characters still in the game as well moving forward, not just your heroes that are averaging 50, 60. You still want those blokes. What's he going to do next?
Absolutely.
So you want to be seen as having fun out there.
Thanks.
He also talked about KKR. Let's hear what he's saying.
I'm going to be biased here. That young leg spinner from KKR that I'm going over to join, I think he's going to be a world beater. But I think the best left arm off here that we've seen, you can't go past Vittori out at the moment, but I think Jadeja is a fantastic talent as well.
Brad Hogg thinks the absence of Saeed Ajmal and Sunil Narine is having a deep impact on their teams.
Completely different. No one else sees it. There's Adams bowled it, Michael Bevan bowled it, Simon Kadich bowled it, and it's quite interesting. Simon comes from my state, and there was Hussey, myself and Simon Kadich that were coming through the ranks, and we were pulled aside. Three of us were picked as batsmen, but they were trying to make us leg spin bowlers as well. So I'm the only one who went down the path as a leg spinner, but the other two just mucked around with it, and Caddo bowled a number of great spells in Test cricket. So it's just that no one sees it that often, and I think it's a great art because you've got so many variety of deliveries that you can bowl, and I know that off spinners now are bowling the Doosra, and I think that's a fantastic art. But what we've found over recent times is players have been scrutinised and been reported for it, and I just think that's probably been a little bit too late, and it's probably cost the standard of this World Cup not having Ajmal and Narayan here. I think it's extremely disappointing to have two quality world-class bowlers not playing in this World Cup.
You think it's unfair that a certain bowler or some bowlers in the past could actually bowl with that sort of an action? And
it wasn't. Yeah, I think we just left it a little bit too late. And if we see young spinners coming around, even out the whacker here, we're seeing spinners come through that are trying to take it to the limits, and we've had to tell a few players that they've had to go and reconstruct their actions. Disappointing that it's got to that stage. So I think they've changed the way that they test as well. And look, on the eye, I've looked at a couple of bowlers and seen, he might be on the peripheral there. He's just over 15, and sometimes it's 30 and sometimes it's 10 degrees. So you can't tell by the naked eye. So that's what's so hard about it.
Yeah, Brad, you were talking about bowlers being affected by the rules changes and high scores coming up all across the world. In Australia, particularly, 300 used to be very difficult to get to, and it's much more difficult for bowlers in the subcontinent.
Yeah.
So bowlers are actually threatened lots. They are only to bowl and get it for a 6 or a 4. That seems to be the case in the subcontinent at least?
Yeah, I think it would, all around the world. You have changed rules, and bowlers have to adapt, batsmen have to adapt. And I think if we've seen in the T20 over the last 2 years, 3 years, especially those that go to the IPL. If we look at England, for instance, they don't play enough T20 around the world, whereas you've got the IPL and all the South Africans, West Indians, Australians are able to go to the IPL and improve their skills in those tight situations. And bowlers just have to adapt. The rules have changed over the last couple of years. And what I've seen so far in the World Cup, when they've got punished, they just haven't executed their plans well enough. And if you slightly get it wrong these days, you are going to get belted.
Yeah. Just on the Australian lineup, with James Faulkner nearing a return, they're going to have 3 world-class all-rounders there. If you were in the selector's shoes, what would you do in terms of picking and choosing?
I'd like to be able to have that option of the extra bowlers, and if you're having James Faulkner in there and you're having Brad Haddin batting out 7 and 8, and James Faulkner, Brad Haddin batting out 7 and 8, Mitchell Johnson coming in at 9, and Stark coming in at 10, we bat extremely deep. So it's just good to have those options with bowlers. So if you're going in there with Mitchell Marsh and James Faulkner and Glenn Maxwell, you've also got Watson there too. So you've got 2 bowlers that are filling the shoes. So you've got 4 bowlers filling 2 bowlers' shoes. So if one's not performing with the ball that particular day, you've got other options. So I'd like to see Shane Watson batting out 3 with Faulkner in that side, just to give the extra bowling power.